The laughter at the table was loud, expensive, and directed entirely at me. We were sitting in the main dining hall of the sprawling estate my grandfather Arthur had built 50 years ago. The crystal chandelier above us shimmered, casting a golden glow over my parents, Richard and Susan, and my younger sister, Bella. They looked like a picture-perfect family. And then there was me, sitting at the far end, still wearing my graduation gown, because I hadn't been able to afford a dress to wear underneath it. "Attention, everyone!" my father bellowed, tapping a spoon against a champagne flute. The room hushed. He beamed at Bella, who was busy checking her reflection in her spoon. "To our beautiful Bella, even though she's only a sophomore, her presence is the true gift of this family." He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket and slid it across the mahogany table. Bella squealed, tearing it open to reveal a set of shiny keys. "A brand new Mercedes! Daddy, you did it!" she screamed, jumping up to hug him. My mother wiped a tear from her eye. "You deserve it, sweetie. You bring so much light into this house." Then the room turned to me. The air grew colder. My father cleared his throat, his smile twisting into a smirk. "And for Elena," he said, his voice dropping, "we didn't forget you. You finally got that degree you were so obsessed with." He reached under the table and pulled out a suitcase. It wasn't new. It was old, battered, and dusty, the one I used to drag to my dorm room. He shoved it toward me with his foot. It skidded across the floor and hit my chair with a dull thud. "Happy graduation," my mother said, sipping her wine. "Consider this your notice. We need your bedroom. Bella wants to expand her suite into a walk-in closet. You have 24 hours to pack your things and leave." Bella giggled, dangling her new car keys. "Sorry, Elle, but I really need the space for my shoe collection. You understand, right?" The guests, my parents' wealthy friends, chuckled nervously, waiting for my reaction. They expected tears. They expected me to beg. They expected the broken, penniless girl they had treated like a ghost for years to finally shatter. But I didn't cry. Instead, I slowly checked the time on my cracked phone screen. It was 8:05 p.m. A small smile touched my lips. They thought they were kicking me out of their house. They had no idea that as of 5 minutes ago, they were sitting in my dining room, drinking my wine, and parking their cars on my property. 24 hours? I asked, my voice steady. That's interesting, because I was about to give you the exact same timeline. To understand why seeing my father kick that suitcase toward me didn't break me, you have to understand the house that built us. The estate was known as the Blackwood Manor. It was a sprawling architectural beast of stone and ivy. My grandfather, Arthur Blackwood, had bought the land 40 years ago when it was just dirt. He was a man of calloused hands and quiet wisdom, a carpenter who built an empire. He was the only person who looked at me and saw a human being. My childhood memories are split into two palettes, the vibrant technicolor of Bella's life and the muted gray of mine. My parents didn't just favor Bella, they worshipped her. She was born with blonde ringlets. My mother claimed were kissed by an angel. I was born with dark, unruly hair. My father said made me look sullen. The difference was in the details. When I was 7, I asked for a bicycle. They told me bikes were dangerous and expensive. 2 months later, for Bella's 5th birthday, they bought her a miniature electric convertible. I watched from the porch as my father chased after her, laughing, filming every second. I wasn't jealous of the car. I was jealous of the laughter. The only place I felt safe was in Grandfather Arthur's study. It smelled of cedar wood and pipe tobacco. While Bella was out getting manicures with Mom, I sat at Arthur's feet, reading books he pulled from the high shelves. "You have a sharp mind, Elena," he would say, tapping his temple. "This is the only asset they can't tax, steal, or repossess." Feel it up. He saw what was happening. He saw how my mother made me hand-wash Bella's delicate dresses. He saw how my father forgot to pick me up from school because he was too busy driving Bella to dance recitals. When I was 16, Arthur got sick. A stroke stole his voice, then his mobility. The vultures circled immediately. My parents didn't mourn. They calculated. I heard them in the kitchen late at night, discussing renovations and vacations, treating his dying days like a bureaucratic inconvenience. I spent every afternoon by his bedside. 2 days before he died, he squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. He pulled me close, his lips moving soundlessly, until I made out a single whisper, "Patience." Then he pointed to a worn copy of The Count of Monte Cristo. The reading of the will was a performance my parents had rehearsed for years. They sat eagerly across from Mr. Sterling, Arthur's ancient attorney. To my son, Richard, and his wife, Susan, Sterling read, "I leave a monthly allowance of $15,000, provided they maintain the property." My father frowned. "Allowance? What about the deed?" "The ownership of Blackwood Manor is placed into a blind trust," Sterling continued. "A trust is sealed until a specific condition is met by one of my grandchildren." My parents relaxed. They assumed the condition was simple, like turning 21. They looked at Bella, barely 12, and smiled. They figured they were the regents to her future queen. They didn't even look at me. "And what is the condition?" my father asked. "That is confidential," Sterling said. "The beneficiary knows what they must do, or rather, they will prove they are worthy by doing it without knowing the reward." My parents laughed. They thought the old man had gone senile. They spent the next 6 years acting like lords of the manor. They redecorated Arthur's study into a trophy room for Bella, and they treated me worse than ever. "You need to contribute," my father told me the day I got accepted into college. "The allowance isn't enough to support a leech. If you want to go to that school, you pay for it. We're saving our money for Bella's future." They didn't pay a dime. Not for tuition, not for books. They cut me off completely, claiming it was character building. But I remembered Arthur's whisper, "Patience." I didn't know for sure if I was the beneficiary, but I had a hunch. Arthur valued hard work. He despised entitlement. My parents thought the condition was related to Bella's fame. They never suspected it was buried in the one thing they mocked me for, my education. 2 weeks ago, I received a letter from Mr. Sewing. Just one sentence, "Bring the diploma to the ceremony." I will be watching. My parents didn't know. They were too busy planning the renovation of my bedroom. They were too busy digging their own graves. And now, staring at the suitcase, I realized the waiting was over. "Elle, did you hear us?" Bella's voice snapped me back. "We need you out by tomorrow. I have a designer coming to measure the walls." I looked at her. Beautiful, but hollow. A tenant in a house she thought she owned. "I heard you," I said softly. "The separation between my family's world and mine wasn't just distance. It was a fracture in reality." While they lived in the technicolor glow of Blackwood Manor, sipping mimosas, I lived in a world of gray concrete and the persistent ache of hunger. My parents had made their stance clear before my freshman year. I had presented them with the tuition bill. My father had laughed and tossed it back. "You wanted the fancy university, Alina. Grandfather always said, 'A man makes his own way.' Consider this your opportunity." "We're not throwing money into a pit when Bella needs vocal coaches. Her career is an investment. Your degree is a hobby." So I left. I took the bus because they wouldn't drive me. I carried 2 suitcases and $200 in cash. College wasn't the movie montage of parties I had imagined. It was a war of attrition. I couldn't afford the dorms, so I rented a basement room 40 minutes away. The ceiling was so low I could touch it, and the air smelled of damp earth. To survive, I became a ghost in the service industry. My schedule was a jigsaw puzzle of exhaustion. 4:30 a.m. wake up, shift 1 at the campus coffee shop, classes, shift 2 as a janitor in the science labs, shift 3 at a dive bar until midnight, study until 3 a.m., repeat. My hands were permanently cracked from bleach. My clothes smelled of stale beer. I lost 15 pounds because dinner was often a bag of pretzels stolen from a bar. Meanwhile, I watched my family's life unfold on my phone. Bella's Instagram was a gallery of excess. Shopping spree in Milan, blessed. Each post was a punch to the gut. The $15,000 monthly allowance grandfather left them was being funneled into vapid consumerism. They were bleeding the legacy dry while I scrubbed toilets. The worst moment wasn't the hunger. It was the day they came to visit. It was the spring of my junior year. My university hosted a prestigious alumni gala. My father, desperate to network, bought a table. They didn't come to see me. They didn't even tell me they were coming. I was working the event as a caterer. It was the best paying gig, but it required wearing a tuxedo shirt and standing invisible against the wall. I saw them walk in, my mother in a silver gown that cost more than my tuition, Bella in pink silk, my father strutting like he owned the building. I tried to hide, but the manager caught me. Blackwood, table 4 needs a refill. Move, table 4, their table. I walked over, heart hammering. I reached out to place a fresh flute in front of my mother. "Excuse me," she snapped. "This glass is spotted. Do you people not know how to—" She looked up. The words died. Her eyes widened, scanning my face, my uniform. For a second, I thought I saw Shane, but then her face hardened into disgust. She looked around to see if anyone important had noticed. "Elena?" she hissed. "What are you doing?" "I'm working, Mother," I said, hands trembling. "Tuition is due next week." My father turned around, face flushing angry red. He looked offended. "You look like a beggar," he muttered. "Embarrassing us in public? Is this a stunt? Are you trying to make us look cheap?" "I'm trying to eat," I whispered. Bella looked up from her phone and laughed. "God, Elle, at least wear some makeup. It's depressing." "Go away," my father commanded, waving his hand. "Get another server, and don't tell anyone who you are." I stood there for a heartbeat too long. The tray felt heavy. I could have dropped it. I could have screamed that they were thieves living off a dead man's money. But then I felt it, a phantom squeeze on my hand. Patience. If I caused a scene, I'd be fired. I'd lose my tuition. I'd drop out, and I wouldn't get the diploma. I swallowed the bile. "Right away, sir," I said. I walked back to the kitchen, Bella's giggles following me. I hid in the freezer for 5 minutes to stop the tears. That night, I walked home in the rain and sat on my lumpy mattress, counting $40 in tips. I looked at grandfather's picture on the wall. "I hope this is worth it," I whispered. "Because they are killing me." I didn't know it then, but that night was the turning point. The shame didn't break me. It calcified me. It turned my sadness into a cold, hard diamond of resolve. They thought they were shaming a servant. They didn't realize they were forging their own executioner. The final semester felt like a suffocating crawl through quicksand. I was surviving on caffeine pills and adrenaline, but amidst the haze, an envelope arrived that snapped the world into focus. It was taped to the underside of my doormat. Heavy, cream-colored cardstock, embossed with the seal, Sterling and Associates. I opened it in my kitchen with a dull steak knife. Inside was a single index card. "The audit is complete. The condition is verified pending final documentation. Bring the parchment to the ceremony. Do not speak to them." I sat on the floor and read it 10 times. "The condition is verified." Grandfather Arthur had been watching. Mr. Sterling had been watching. Every grade, every payment, every shift, it had all been recorded. The condition wasn't just graduating, it was doing it without their help. It was proving I could survive the cold. I pressed the card to my chest. The end was in sight. But my family had one last test for me. 2 weeks before graduation, I had to return to Blackwood Manor to get my birth certificate for a job background check. I parked my rusted sedan down the street, ashamed to park next to their luxury cars. As I walked up the driveway, I heard it. Crash, thud, power saws. My stomach dropped. I ran to the front door. My key wouldn't turn. They had changed the locks. I pounded until the housekeeper opened it. "I'm Richard's daughter," I said, pushing past her. The foyer was covered in tarps. I followed the noise to the east wing, my wing. I turned the corner and stopped. My bedroom door was gone. The entire wall was gone. Where my room used to be, there was a gaping hole connecting my space to Bella's suite. My bed was gone. My desk was gone. Bella stood in the center with a contractor. "No, this lighting is too harsh," she was saying. "My Louboutins need to breathe." "Bella," I choked out. She turned, surprised. "Oh, hey, Elle, you're early. Where are my things?" I asked. Bella shrugged. "Mom packed it up. I think it's in the garage or the donate pile. We needed the space, Elle." "We're making a master dressing room. It's going to be featured in Teen Vogue." My mother appeared, stepping over debris. "Elena, you're getting dust on my tarps." "You destroyed my room," I said. "You gave me until graduation." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "You're barely here. That sad little apartment fits you. This room was wasted space. Bella's brand deals are taking off." "Content creation," I repeated. looking at the hole in the wall. You gutted my childhood for TikToks. Don't be dramatic, my father boomed, walking in. It's property value, something you know nothing about with that liberal arts degree. It's finance, I corrected. Boring. Look at this view. Perfect for Bella's live streams. I looked at them. They were erasing me. I was a stain they had finally scrubbed out. My eyes drifted to the corner, to a floorboard being pried up. Under it, I had carved my initials next to Arthur's years ago. Wait, I shouted. That board. Be careful. My father rolled his eyes. It's rotting wood. We're replacing it with Italian marble. Get over it. He signaled the workmen. Crack! The board splintered and was tossed onto the debris pile. I felt a sharp pain in my chest, but then I remembered the index card. Do not speak to them. If I fought them now, they would sabotage me. I had to let them destroy the room. I had to let them think they had won. I took a deep breath. You're right, I said, my voice terrifyingly calm. Italian marble will look beautiful. My mother looked suspicious. She thrived on my resistance. My submission confused her. Well, she said, I'm glad you're being sensible. Your boxes are in the shed. Grab them and go. We have dinner reservations at Nobu to celebrate. You're not coming, Bella added. Positive vibes only. I understand, I said. I walked out, stepping over the remains of my floorboard. I retrieved my boxes from the damp shed. As I drove away, watching the house fade, I didn't feel sadness. The destruction of my room had severed the last tether. They thought they were making space for shoes. They didn't realize they were renovating a house they were about to lose. Graduation day dawned heavy and gray. While my classmates popped champagne, I sat on a folding chair in the stadium, sweating under my gown, waiting for my family. They were late. The ceremony had begun. I scanned a VIP section I had paid for. Empty. My phone buzzed. Bella, stuck in traffic. Starbucks line was insane. Save us seats. I stared ahead. I didn't need them to cheer. I just needed the paper. 20 minutes later, a commotion. My family made an entrance. My mother in a wide-brimmed hat, my father in a linen suit, and Bella live-streaming their walk, giggling as she stepped on people's feet. They squeezed into their seats. My father checked his watch, sighing. My mother touched up her lipstick, ignoring the valedictorian. I sat 3 rows ahead. I turned to catch my father's eye. He pointed to his wrist. How long? I turned back. The burn in my throat became fuel. The roll call began. Abbott, Adams. Behind me, Bella's voice carried. Oh my God, Mom, this venue is so budget. Can you imagine my launch party here? I'd die. It smells like student loans, my mother replied. Shh, my father hissed. My battery is dying. Blackwell. My heart hammered. This was the moment Arthur had orchestrated. Elena Marie Blackwood. I stood up. My legs felt heavy. I stepped toward the stage. The lights were blinding. The applause was polite. I looked at my family. This was the culmination of 4 years of hunger. They weren't watching. My mother was rummaging through her purse. My father was typing on his phone. Bella had her back turned, taking a selfie with the crowd. Click. They missed it. They missed the moment their empire fell. I walked across the stage. The dean handed me the diploma. Congratulations, Miss Blackwood. As my fingers closed around it, a strange sensation washed over me. It wasn't just paper. It was a key, a gavel, a weapon. Thank you, I whispered. I walked down the stairs, clutching the diploma. I bypassed the seats and went straight to the exit tunnel. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone. One new message. Sterling and Associates. Condition met. Verified. The trust is dissolved. The deed to 1400 Oak Lane and the portfolio have been transferred to your name effective 12 p.m. The electronic eviction notice has been prepared, awaiting command. I slid down the concrete wall to the floor. A hysterical laugh bubbled up. It was done. I owned it all. The house, the cars, the wine, even the chair my father was sitting in. I sat there for 10 minutes, breathing in the power shift. Then, a text from Mom. Where did you go? We took a pic of the stage, missed you though. We're leaving. It's hot. Meet us at the house for your party. AKA packing. Don't be late. AKA packing. They thought they were summoning a servant. They thought they were going home to their manor. I typed a reply to the lawyer. Executed. I walked out to my rusted sedan. I didn't say goodbye to classmates. I had a dinner to attend. And for the first time, I was going to sit at the head of the table. The silence that followed my declaration was the awkward silence of a room watching a servant speak out of turn. My father let out a short laugh. Excuse me? Did the cheap champagne go to your head, Alina? You're giving us a timeline? To pack, I clarified, reaching into my gown. I pulled out a blue folder and set it on the table. There seems to be a misunderstanding about the ownership of this estate. Oh, for God's sake, my mother sighed. She's having a breakdown. Ignore her, Bella, I said. Put the keys to that Mercedes down. You can't drive a car that belongs to the Blackwood Trust. Insurance liability. Bella frowned. Shut up, Elle. I opened the folder and pulled out the deed. Grandfather Arthur was specific. He despised entitlement. Don't you dare quote him, my father snapped. I am his son, and I am his beneficiary, I corrected. I slid the document across the table. Read the highlighted paragraph, Richard. Out loud. My father sneered and picked it up. This is a forgery. Read it, I commanded. The voice of the owner. My father's eyes scanned the page. His sneer faltered. The color drained from his face, leaving it ash gray. What is it? My mother asked, panic rising. He couldn't answer, so I recited it. Upon the graduation of a direct descendant achieved without financial aid from the estate, proving self-reliance, the blind trust shall dissolve. The ownership of Blackwood Manor shall transfer immediately to said descendant. I looked at my mother. You refused to pay my tuition. You refused to feed me. You called it character building. You were right. It built the character of the new owner of this house. No, my mother whispered. This is impossible. Sterling would have told us. Sterling works for the trust, I said, not for you. Since you treated the condition as a joke, he didn't correct you. Bella stood up. Mom, is she kicking us out? She can't, my father roared, standing up to intimidate me. This is my house. I raised you. I fed you. You fed me leftovers, I said, and you raised me to be invisible. Well, I'm visible now. I placed my phone on the table. I've contacted the estate management. Your access to the accounts was suspended at noon. That's why your card was declined this morning, Dad. The guests were exchanging horrified glances. You ungrateful little witch, my mother hissed, lunging. After everything we gave you, you gave me nothing, I shouted, and that was the key. If you had given me $1, the trust would have stayed sealed. But you were so greedy, you handed me the empire. I looked at Bella. And the car. The lease is in my company name. I'm canceling it tomorrow. Bella screamed. You can't. I posted it. Tell them you're going eco-friendly, I suggested. My father's face twisted into malice. He started toward me, fists clenched. I'm going to throw you out of that window, ding-dong. The doorbell echoed. My father froze. That would be the sheriff, I said, sipping my wine. I called them on the way here. I told them trespassers were becoming aggressive. You called the police on your parents? My mother gasped. I called the police on the squatters, I corrected. The housekeeper walked in, looking pale, followed by 2 officers. Ms. Blackwood? One asked. My father puffed his chest. Officers, my daughter is having a psychotic break. Please remove her. I handed the officer the folder. Officer, my name is Elena Blackwood. This is the deed. These people have been asked to leave and are making threats. The officer verified the seal. He turned to my father. Sir, is this your name on the eviction notice? I live here. My father sputtered. According to this, your privileges were revoked. You have 24 hours to vacate, provided you remain peaceful. Are you refusing? My father looked at me. He looked at the guests. He looked at the walls he had torn down. He realized he had lost. We're leaving, he choked out. Good, I said, but leave the suitcase. I pointed to the battered luggage on the floor. I might need it for a vacation. The exodus of the Blackwood family was not a dignified departure. It was a chaotic scramble. Under the eyes of the officers, my father tried to load his vintage watches into a Louis Vuitton bag. Leave the bag, I said, checking my inventory list. Purchased with the corporate card. It stays. I need something to carry my clothes in, he spat. I pointed to the dusty suitcase he had kicked at me. Use that. He turned purple, but shoved his shirts into the case that had once held my life. My mother tried to take the silver candelabras. Heirlooms, she shrieked. They are, I agreed, and I am the family. Bella sat on the steps, weeping into her phone, trying to live stream. Guys, my evil sister stole everything. Donate to my GoFundMe. Save your battery, Bella, I said. I canceled the phone plan. The stream cut out. She grabbed her purse and stomped to the Uber. They left in a Toyota Camry. As the taillights faded, the guests filtered out. I walked back inside. The silence felt like the house was exhaling. I went to the master suite. My carrot scent lingered. I opened the windows to scrub it away. The legal battle was short. My parents tried to sue, claiming I manipulated grandfather. Mr. Sterling destroyed them. He presented the records, the neglect, the spending on Bella. He played a voicemail of my father laughing about gutting the library. The judge dismissed the case and ordered them to pay legal fees. They filed for bankruptcy. Bella's career imploded when the internet realized the homeless girl had lived in luxury while her sister starved. I didn't move into the master bedroom. Instead, I restored the east wing. I rebuilt the wall. I replaced the floorboards with reclaimed oak. One of the contractors found something in the debris. 2 jagged pieces of wood, the floorboard with the initials. AB+EB. I glued it back together and framed it. I finished my degree, got my MBA, and now manage the portfolio. I triple the value by investing in people who work hard. I started the Patience Grant Scholarship for students cut off by their families. One evening a year later, I was sitting in grandfather's restored study, reading The Count of Monte Cristo. My phone rang. Her voice was thin. We saw the article about the scholarship, she said. Your father, his back is bad. He can't work the warehouse job. She paused, waiting for the checkbook. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. We were wondering, she continued, desperate. Could we come over? For coffee? We miss you. We're family. I looked at the framed floorboard. I looked at the empty chair where grandfather used to sit. I'm afraid that's not possible, I said gently. Why? She cried. Just tell us what we have to do. What is the condition for forgiveness? I closed the book. Patience, I said, and I hung up.